This story begins, not in a faraway land, but right here. In the streets you have walked. In the dreams you have carried. In the moments when you whispered to yourself, "When will I finally get what I dream about every day?" Close your eyes for a moment. Imagine the cold wind of a New York morning, the sound of footsteps rushing to work, the smell of fresh coffee rising from tiny shops on a busy street. Here, in Brooklyn, lived a young man named Daniel Carter. Daniel was not rich. He was not powerful. He was not famous. He worked at a small cafe, serving coffee to strangers. But whenever Daniel poured that coffee, his eyes were not looking at the cups. They were looking far beyond. At the tall skyscrapers above him. At the successful people in suits carrying briefcases. Daniel had a dream. A dream to build something of his own. A company, an idea, a life where he was free. Every night when he went home to his small, dim apartment, he closed his eyes and saw it clearly. And yet, reality was cruel. He applied for better jobs. Rejected. He pitched his ideas. Laughed at. He worked overtime. Paid less. One night, completely exhausted, Daniel looked into the mirror and whispered, "When? When will I finally get what I dream about every single day?" Far away, across the border, in Toronto, Canada, another dreamer lived. Her name was Emily Johnson. Emily loved music. Her dream was not money or power. Her dream was to stand on a stage, with lights shining down and thousands of people singing her songs. But instead of standing on a stage, Emily stood behind the counter of a grocery store. Every beep of the barcode scanner felt like a hammer breaking her spirit. Still, every night, when the store closed, she pulled out a notebook. She wrote lyrics. She hummed melodies. She whispered her dream into the cold Canadian air. One evening, her best friend asked, "Emily, why do you keep dreaming? Reality doesn't change." Emily smiled and replied softly, "Because my dream is stronger than reality. One day, reality will have no choice but to catch up with my dream." Two people. Two countries. Two different dreams. Yet the same burning question inside their hearts. When will I finally get what I dream about every day? Dreams are not easy. Dreams test you. Dreams shake you. Dreams whisper, "How badly do you want me?" Daniel faced rejection after rejection. Emily faced silence after silence. Both cried alone, wondering if they were foolish. Both almost gave up. But here is the truth. The moment you are about to give up, is usually the moment your breakthrough is closest. Daniel woke up the next morning before sunrise. The sky above Brooklyn was still dark, painted with the faint glow of streetlights. He walked through the cold streets, hands in his pockets, whispering to himself, "Maybe today will be different." But when he reached the cafe, it was the same routine. Customers rushed in, barely noticing his face. Orders shouted. Coffee poured. Smiles forced. Still, inside Daniel's chest, the dream was alive. He carried a small notebook in his apron pocket. During every break, he scribbled ideas for his future company. Pages filled with sketches, business plans, slogans. No one around him cared. But to Daniel, those scribbles were fire. They were survival. Across the border, Emily also woke early. Snow fell quietly over Toronto that morning. Her hands were cold, but her heart was burning. She opened her notebook filled with lyrics. Her words spoke of hope, of pain, of rising again after being broken. She strummed her guitar softly, her voice trembling in the silence of her tiny apartment. One day, she gathered the courage to perform at an open mic night in a small cafe. Only 12 people sat in the room. Most were distracted, staring at their phones. But when Emily began to sing, one older man in the corner looked up. His eyes softened. When she finished, he clapped slowly and said, "Never stop. You have something the world needs to hear." That single sentence became her fuel. It wasn't fame. It wasn't money. It was simply proof that her dream was real. Back in New York, Daniel faced his worst rejection yet. He pitched his idea for a small startup to a local investor. He spoke with passion, with detail, with hope. But the investor leaned back in his chair, shook his head, and said, "You're just a kid who makes coffee. Come back when you're someone important." Daniel left that office with tears stinging his eyes. On the subway ride home, surrounded by strangers, he whispered, "Am I just a fool? Maybe my dream isn't meant for me." Yet deep inside, another voice answered, "Dreams don't belong to the rich. They belong to the brave." He wiped his face, pulled out his notebook, and wrote on the first page in bold letters, "I will not give up." Emily too faced rejection. She sent her demo to 5 music producers. 3 ignored her. 2 replied with a cold, "Not commercial enough." She felt the weight of silence crushing her. One evening, sitting on her bed, she asked the same question Daniel once asked his mirror. When will I finally get what I dream about every day?" And yet, she remembered the old man's words. She remembered the tiny claps in that cafe. She remembered her own voice, raw but honest. So she whispered to herself, "My dream is alive. As long as I keep singing, it cannot die." Daniel and Emily did not know each other. They had never met. But their journeys were connected by the same invisible thread. The struggle that every dreamer must face. And in that struggle, a new chapter was about to begin. The winter in New York grew colder. Daniel wrapped his coat tighter as he walked home from another long day at the cafe. But this night felt different. As he passed by a bookstore, he saw a poster taped to the window. "Local entrepreneurs meet up, share your ideas." He stood there for a moment, staring at it. A part of him whispered, "Don't go. You'll be embarrassed again." But another part of him, the dreamer inside, said, "This is your chance." That weekend, Daniel walked nervously into a small community hall filled with strangers. Most wore polished shoes and expensive watches. Daniel wore his cafe uniform. When it was his turn to speak, his hands shook. His voice cracked. But he opened his notebook and poured out his vision for a new kind of coffee business, one that celebrated creativity, art, and community. For the first time, instead of laughter, he saw curiosity. A few people nodded. One woman even walked up afterward and said, "Your idea is fresh. Don't stop." That single moment became Daniel's fuel. He still had no money, no investors, no team. But here's the truth. Most people quit before those first bricks are even laid. Daniel could have quit after rejection. Emily could have quit after silence. But they chose to keep going. And because they kept going, their reality was beginning to bend toward their dreams. Months passed. Daniel's tiny coffee stand in New York began attracting people. Not because it was the fanciest, but because it felt alive. He decorated the space with art from local students, he wrote inspiring quotes on the walls, and he treated every customer like family. One day, a journalist stopped by for coffee. She noticed the atmosphere, tasted the brew, and asked Daniel his story. He shared everything, his rejections, his dream, his refusal to quit. A week later, Daniel's story appeared in a small newspaper under the headline, "The Barista Who Refused to Stop Dreaming." That article spread. Suddenly, more people came. Not just for coffee, but for inspiration. Daniel realized he wasn't just serving drinks, he was serving hope. Meanwhile, Emily's song continued to travel across the internet. Her following grew from hundreds to thousands. Local radio stations started playing her music. She was invited to perform at a charity concert in downtown Toronto. Standing backstage, Emily's heart raced. She whispered to herself, "Years of silence, and now my voice will finally be heard." When she walked onto that stage and saw the crowd cheering, tears filled her eyes. She strummed her guitar, sang her song, and for the first time, hundreds of people sang along with her. Both Daniel and Emily had not arrived. They were still on the journey. But now, the world had begun to see what they had always seen in their dreams. And that is the secret. Dreams rarely arrive in one giant moment. They arrive in small steps, one choice at a time. Think about it. What is the dream you see every night? A better life? A successful career? A happier family? Whatever it is, remember this. Dreams will test you. Dreams will break you. Dreams will make you cry. But if you refuse to quit, if you wake up every day and keep walking toward it, then one morning, reality will look exactly like your dream. Daniel's dream is still growing. Emily's dream is still unfolding. And yours is waiting for you. So the question: when will you finally get what you dream about every day? The answer is simple. You will get it, the day you decide you will never stop chasing it. Keep moving. Keep believing. Keep fighting. Because the dream you see every night is already waiting for you to wake up and claim it.